In today's video, we're continuing our self-development series from the previous episodes. If you're new here or missed the last one, you can check out all the episodes in the playlist that'll pop up at the end of this video. These lessons aren't just educational content, they're a daily, all-encompassing approach to life. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you're digging this series, show some love by liking the video and dropping a "keep it up" in the comments below. All right, folks, let's get real about anger. Not the fight for justice kind, but the kind that makes you want to chuck your phone across the room or scream at the slowpoke in front of you. We all feel it, but what if I told you it's like pouring sugar in your gas tank? Yeah, it might give you a quick jolt, but you're headed for a breakdown. Seneca knew what was up when he said, "Anger is like ruin. It overturns all that it carries with it." So today, we're diving into why anger is actually a sign of weakness, not strength, and how to cool down before you blow your top. In this video, we'll cover the anger illusion. Why we think it's powerful, but it's actually hurting us. How anger is like low-grade fuel. It burns fast, but leaves you empty. Recognizing the warning signs before you go nuclear. Simple, practical tips for cooling down in the heat of the moment. How to address the root causes of your anger so you can finally find peace. It's time to reclaim your calm and stop letting anger control your life. Let's chill together. Lesson 1. You don't have to have an opinion. The Zen art of the mental shrug. All right, folks, let's talk about something revolutionary, not having an opinion. Yeah, you heard me right. In a world where everyone seems to have a hot take on everything, we're gonna explore the radical idea that it's okay to say, "I don't know," "I'm not sure," or even, "I don't care." The opinion overload. Let's face it, we live in a world that's saturated with opinions. From 24-hour news cycles to endless social media feeds, we're constantly bombarded with other people's thoughts, beliefs, and judgments. It's exhausting, overwhelming, and frankly, it can be pretty toxic. As the philosopher Epictetus put it, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." In other words, if we're constantly clinging to our opinions, we close ourselves off to new information, new perspectives, and the possibility of changing our minds. The freedom of not knowing. Not having an opinion doesn't mean being ignorant or apathetic. It means being open-minded, curious, and willing to learn. It means recognizing that we don't have all the answers, and that's okay. As the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's there are few." So, how do we cultivate this beginner's mind and embrace the freedom of not knowing? 1. Question everything. Don't just accept things at face value. Question the information you receive, the sources you rely on, and your own biases and assumptions. As the philosopher Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." 2. Embrace uncertainty. Life is full of uncertainty. We don't know what the future holds, and we can't control everything that happens to us. By embracing uncertainty, we can learn to let go of the need for control and find peace in the present moment. 3. Seek out diverse perspectives. Don't just surround yourself with people who think like you. Seek out diverse perspectives, engage in respectful dialogue, and be open to changing your mind. As the saying goes, the only way to understand someone is to walk a mile in their shoes. 4. Practice humility. Recognize that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. Be willing to admit when you're wrong, to learn from your mistakes, and to change your mind when presented with new information. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The political debate. Instead of getting into a heated argument with someone who has different political views, try to understand their perspective. Ask questions, listen attentively, and seek common ground. The water cooler gossip. Instead of chiming in with your own opinion about the latest office gossip, simply listen and observe. You don't need to have an opinion on everything. The social media comment section. Before you fire off that snarky comment or witty retort, ask yourself, is this really necessary? Will it add anything of value to the conversation? If not, just scroll on. The bottom line, not having an opinion is not a sign of weakness or indecision. It's a sign of intellectual humility, open-mindedness, and a willingness to learn. By embracing the freedom of not knowing, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, new perspectives, and a deeper understanding of the world around us. As the philosopher Bertrand Russell put it, the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, but wiser people so full of doubts. Lesson 2. Anger is bad fuel. Your engine's gonna blow, dude. All right, folks, let's talk about anger. Not the righteous kind that fuels social change or motivates us to stand up for what's right. We're talking about the kind that simmers beneath the surface, the kind that fuels rash decisions, hurtful words, and actions we later regret. We're talking about the kind of anger that's like bad fuel for your engine. It might get you going for a while, but it'll ultimately cause a breakdown. The anger illusion. Anger often masquerades as strength. We think it gives us power, control, and the upper hand, but in reality, anger is a weakness. It's a loss of control, a surrender to our baser instincts, a clouding of our judgment. As the philosopher Seneca put it, anger is like ruin. It overturns all that it carries with it. In other words, anger doesn't just hurt the people around us, it hurts us too. It damages our relationships, our health, our happiness, and our peace of mind. The fuel efficiency problem. Anger is like low-grade fuel. It burns hot and fast, but it doesn't give us sustained energy or power. It's a short-term fix that leaves us feeling depleted and exhausted. Think of it like this. When you're angry, your body goes into fight or flight mode. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, and your stress hormones surge. This might give you a temporary burst of energy, but it's not sustainable. It's like revving your engine to the red line. Eventually, something's gonna give. So, how do we switch to a higher octane fuel and avoid the anger burnout? 1. Recognize the warning signs. Anger doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It builds up gradually like steam in a pressure cooker. Learn to recognize the warning signs, the tightness in your chest, the clenching of your jaw, the racing thoughts. Once you recognize the signs, you can take steps to de-escalate the situation before it boils over. 2. Cool down. When you feel anger rising, take a step back. Go for a walk, listen to calming music, or practice deep breathing exercises. Give yourself time to cool down before you say or do something you'll regret. 3. Address the root cause. Anger is often a symptom of a deeper issue: hurt, fear, frustration, or injustice. Take some time to reflect on what's really bothering you and address the root cause of your anger. This might involve talking to a therapist, journaling, or simply having an honest conversation with yourself. 4. Find healthy outlets. Anger doesn't just disappear. It needs to be expressed in a healthy way. This might involve exercise, creative expression, or talking to a trusted friend or family member. 5. Practice forgiveness. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning the other person's behavior. It means releasing yourself from the burden of resentment and anger. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The road rage renegade. Instead of flipping off the driver who cut you off, take a deep breath and let it go. Remember, your anger won't change their behavior, but it will ruin your day. Shiro. When your boss or coworker says something that triggers you, don't fire off an angry email. Take a break, cool down, and then address the issue calmly and professionally. The family feud. Fighter. Instead of escalating a disagreement with a family member, try to understand their perspective. Listen to their concerns, express your own feelings, and work together to find a solution. The bottom line. Anger is bad fuel. It might give you a temporary boost, but it'll ultimately lead to a breakdown. By recognizing the warning signs, cooling down, addressing the root cause, finding healthy outlets, and practicing forgiveness, you can break free from the grip of anger and cultivate a more peaceful, joyful, and fulfilling life. As the Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Lesson 3. Hero or Nero? Your moral compass in a world gone wild. All right, folks, let's talk about being a good person. Not the I volunteer at the soup kitchen once a year kind of good, but the deep down, soul-level kind of good that guides your actions, your choices, and your impact on the world. The hero-villain spectrum. We all like to think of ourselves as the heroes of our own stories, but let's be real, we all have a little bit of Nero in us, that impulsive, self-centered me-first part of our personality that can lead us down some pretty dark paths. As the philosopher Plato put it, good actions give strength to ourselves and inspire good actions in others. But we could also say, bad actions weaken ourselves and encourage bad actions in others. So, how do we navigate this hero-villain spectrum and make choices that align with our highest values? 1. Know thyself. What are your core values? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? Take some time to reflect on these questions and write down your answers. This will be your moral compass, guiding you through life's ethical dilemmas. 2. Challenge your assumptions. We all have biases and blind spots. We might think we're acting in the best interest of others, but our actions could be causing harm. Be willing to question your assumptions, seek out diverse perspectives, and consider the impact of your choices on others. 3. Cultivate empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's the key to compassion, kindness, and ethical decision-making. When we put ourselves in someone else's shoes, we're less likely to act in ways that harm them. 4. Practice moral courage. It's not always easy to do the right thing, especially when it's unpopular or inconvenient. But moral courage is the willingness to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's difficult. As the philosopher Aristotle said, courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. 5. Seek wisdom. We don't have all the answers. Seek out wisdom from mentors, teachers, spiritual leaders, and the great works of literature and philosophy. By learning from the wisdom of others, we can expand our understanding of morality and ethics. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The whistleblower. A whistleblower risks their career and reputation to expose wrongdoing in their organization. They choose to do the right thing, even though it's difficult and potentially dangerous. The environmental activist. An environmental activist fights to protect the planet, even when it means going up against powerful corporations and governments. They prioritize the well-being of the planet and future generations over short-term profits and convenience. The everyday hero. You don't have to be a whistleblower or an activist to be a hero. Everyday heroes are the people who stand up to bullies, help those in need, and speak out against injustice. They are the ones who make the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time. The bottom line. We all have the potential to be heroes or Neros. The choice is ours. By knowing ourselves, challenging our assumptions, cultivating empathy, practicing moral courage, and seeking wisdom, we can make choices that align with our highest values and contribute to a better world. As the philosopher Immanuel Kant put it, act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. Lesson 4. Protect your peace of mind. Your fortress of solitude, no cape required. All right, folks, let's talk about something precious, your peace of mind. It's that feeling of calm, tranquility, and inner balance that we all crave, but often struggle to maintain. It's like a delicate flower that needs to be nurtured and protected from the harsh elements of life. The chaos of modern life. Let's face it, the modern world is a chaotic place. We're bombarded with information, notifications, demands, and distractions. We're constantly connected, constantly stimulated, and constantly on the go. It's no wonder our peace of mind is under attack. As the philosopher Seneca put it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. In other words, we have enough time to find peace, but we often squander it on things that don't matter. The Stoic fortress. The ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, understood the importance of protecting one's peace of mind. They saw it as a fortress of solitude, a place of refuge from the chaos of the world. As Marcus Aurelius put it, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. So, how do we build our own fortress of solitude and protect our peace of mind in the midst of chaos? 1. Set boundaries. Don't let the world dictate your schedule, your priorities, or your values. Learn to say no to things that don't serve you and create space for activities that nourish your soul. As the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. 2. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. By cultivating mindfulness, we can become more aware of our thoughts and emotions, and we can learn to let go of the worries and anxieties that steal our peace. 3. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to negativity. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our attention away from what we lack and towards the abundance that already exists in our lives. As the saying goes, what you appreciate appreciates. 4. Connect with nature. Spending time in nature has been shown to have a calming effect on the mind and body. Take a walk in the park, go for a hike in the woods, or simply sit outside and soak up the sun. As the naturalist John Muir said, "In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks." 5. Disconnect from technology. Our phones, computers, and tablets are constantly vying for our attention. Take regular breaks from technology to recharge your batteries, reconnect with yourself, and find peace in the offline world. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The digital detox retreat. Many people find that taking a digital detox retreat, where they disconnect from technology for a few days or weeks, can be incredibly helpful for restoring their peace of mind. The morning meditation practice. Starting your day with a few minutes of meditation can help you set a positive tone for the day and cultivate a sense of inner calm. The nature therapy. Walk. Many therapists and counselors recommend spending time in nature as a way to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. The bottom line, protecting your peace of mind is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's essential for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. By setting boundaries, practicing mindfulness, cultivating gratitude, connecting with nature, and disconnecting from technology, you can create a fortress of solitude that will protect you from the chaos of the world and allow you to live a more peaceful, joyful, and fulfilling life. As the philosopher Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Lesson 5. Pleasure can become punishment. The dark side of the dopamine rush. All right, folks, let's talk about pleasure, not the warm fuzzies you get from a hug or a good book. We're talking about the intense, addictive kind of pleasure that can quickly turn into a prison. We're talking about the dopamine hits that leave us craving more, chasing after fleeting highs, and sacrificing our long-term well-being for short-term thrills. The pleasure trap. Pleasure is a powerful motivator. It's what drives us to eat, drink, have sex, and seek out novel experiences. But pleasure can also be a trap. When we become too focused on chasing pleasure, we can lose sight of what truly matters. We can become addicted to the dopamine rush, sacrificing our health, our relationships, and our values in the pursuit of fleeting highs. As the philosopher Epicurus put it, "Not what we have, but what we enjoy, constitutes our abundance." But he also warned against the dangers of overindulgence, saying, "Nothing is enough for the man to whom enough is too little." The hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill is a psychological phenomenon that describes our tendency to quickly adapt to new levels of pleasure. When we experience something pleasurable, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. But the more we experience that pleasure, the less dopamine our brains release and the less pleasure we feel. This leads us to seek out even more intense or novel experiences in an attempt to recapture that initial high. The result? We end up chasing a moving target, constantly seeking more pleasure, but never truly finding lasting satisfaction. The price of pleasure. The pursuit of pleasure can come at a steep price. Overindulgence in food, drugs, alcohol, or other vices can lead to addiction, health problems, financial ruin, and broken relationships. It can also lead to a sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction as we realize that the fleeting highs we chase after are not enough to fill the void within. As the philosopher Socrates put it, "The unexamined life is not worth living." But we could also say, the unexamined pleasure is not worth pursuing. So, how do we break free from the pleasure trap and find a more sustainable path to happiness? 1. Mindful indulgence. Enjoy pleasure, but do so mindfully. Savor the experience, pay attention to your senses, and appreciate the present moment. Don't let pleasure become a mindless habit or a compulsive need. 2. Diversify your pleasures. Don't rely on a single source of pleasure. Explore different activities, hobbies, and experiences that bring you joy. This will help you avoid the hedonic treadmill and find more lasting satisfaction. 3. Prioritize meaningful activities. Don't just chase after fleeting pleasures. Focus on activities that bring you a sense of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. This might include spending time with loved ones, pursuing your passions, or contributing to your community. 4. Practice gratitude. Take time each day to appreciate the good things in your life. Gratitude can help you shift your focus away from what you lack and towards the abundance that already exists. 5. Seek help if needed. If you're struggling with addiction or compulsive behaviors, don't hesitate to seek help from a therapist, counselor, or support group. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The food addict. Instead of binge eating, the food addict learns to savor each bite, pay attention to their body's hunger and fullness cues, and choose foods that nourish their body and soul. The social media junkie. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, the social media junkie sets limits on their screen time, unfollows accounts that trigger negative emotions, and engages in more meaningful activities offline. The workaholic. Instead of working long hours to chase a promotion or a bigger paycheck, the workaholic learns to prioritize their health, their relationships, and their personal well-being. The bottom line: pleasure is a gift, but it can also be a curse. By practicing mindful indulgence, diversifying your pleasures, prioritizing meaningful activities, practicing gratitude, and seeking help if needed, you can break free from the pleasure trap and create a life that's rich in joy, meaning, and fulfillment. As the philosopher Aristotle put it, happiness depends upon ourselves. Lesson 6. Think before you act. Your brain's user manual for avoiding dumb stuff. All right, folks, let's talk about impulse control. No, we're not talking about resisting that extra slice of pizza, although that's a valuable skill too. We're talking about the ability to pause, reflect, and make conscious choices instead of reacting impulsively to every situation. We're talking about the difference between being a hothead and a cool cucumber, between making rash decisions and thoughtful ones. The impulsive brain. Our brains are wired for survival, not necessarily for rational decision-making. When we encounter a potential threat or opportunity, our amygdala, the brain's emotional center, takes over, triggering a fight-or-flight response. This can be helpful in life or death situations, but it can also lead us to make impulsive decisions that we later regret. As the philosopher Aristotle put it, anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everyone's power and is not easy. So, how do we train our brains to think before we act, to respond instead of react, and to make choices that align with our values and goals? 1. The pause button. When you feel an impulse rising, hit the pause button. Take a deep breath, count to 10, or step away from the situation. This will give your prefrontal cortex, the brain's rational center, a chance to catch up and assess the situation more objectively. 2. The question mark. Ask yourself, what are the facts? What are my options? What are the potential consequences of each option? What is the most wise and compassionate course of action? By asking these questions, you can move beyond your initial emotional reaction and make a more thoughtful decision. 3. The rehearsal. Practice thinking before you act in low-stakes situations. For example, if you're tempted to buy something impulsively, wait 24 hours before making a decision. If you're about to send an angry email, save it as a draft and revisit it later with a calmer mind. 4. The mindfulness muscle. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. By cultivating mindfulness, you can become more aware of your impulses and choose how to respond to them. 5. The mentor's wisdom. Seek out guidance from mentors, therapists, or spiritual leaders who can offer you wisdom and support. Learn from their experiences, their insights, and their mistakes. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The road rage incident. Instead of yelling at the driver who cut you off, take a deep breath and remind yourself that it's not worth getting into an accident over. The heated argument. When you're in a heated argument with your partner, take a break, cool down, and come back to the conversation when you're both calmer and more rational. The impulsive purchase. Before you click the Buy Now button, ask yourself if you really need that item. Will it bring you lasting joy or just a fleeting moment of satisfaction? The bottom line. Thinking before you act is a skill that takes practice and discipline, but it's a skill that can save you from a lot of heartache, regret, and unnecessary drama. By learning to pause, reflect, and make conscious choices, you can become the master of your impulses rather than their slave. As the philosopher Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Lesson 7. Only Bad Dreams, Your Mind's Midnight Movie Marathon, and How to Change the Channel. All right, folks, let's talk about those pesky things called dreams. No, not the Martin Luther King Jr. kind, although those are important too. We're talking about those weird, wacky, and sometimes downright terrifying visions that play out in our heads while we sleep. We're talking about the dreams that leave us waking up in a cold sweat, wondering if we're losing our minds. The Dream Factory. Our brains are like little movie studios, churning out bizarre narratives and surreal imagery while we slumber. Sometimes these dreams are pleasant, even fantastical, but other times they're filled with anxiety, fear, and even outright terror. As the philosopher Aristotle put it, often when one is asleep, there is something in consciousness which declares that what then presents itself is but a dream. In other words, even while we're dreaming, there's a part of us that knows it's not real, but that doesn't make the experience any less intense or unsettling. So, what's the deal with bad dreams? And more importantly, how can we turn those nightmares into sweet dreams, or at least less terrifying ones? The Dream Decoder. 1. The stress connection. Bad dreams are often a reflection of our waking life stresses and anxieties. If you're going through a tough time at work, dealing with relationship problems, or facing a major life change, your dreams might be your brain's way of processing those emotions. 2. The unconscious mind. Dreams can also be a window into our unconscious mind. They can reveal hidden desires, fears, and unresolved conflicts that we might not be aware of in our waking life. As the psychologist Carl Jung put it, dreams are the guiding words of the soul. 3. The creative muse. Sometimes bad dreams can be a source of creative inspiration. They can spark new ideas, offer unique perspectives, and even help us solve problems. As the artist Salvador Dali said, "Give me 2 hours a day of activity, and I'll take the other 22 in dreams." Taking control of your dreams. 1. The Dream Journal. Keep a dream journal by your bed and write down your dreams as soon as you wake up. This can help you identify patterns, themes, and symbols that might be relevant to your waking life. 2. The reality check. When you wake up from a bad dream, remind yourself that it was just a dream. It's not real, and it doesn't have any power over you. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." 3. The reframe. Try to reframe your bad dreams in a more positive light. Can you find any hidden messages or insights? Can you turn the nightmare into a creative project? As the saying goes, every cloud has a silver lining. 4. The relaxation ritual. Before bed, engage in relaxing activities like reading, taking a warm bath, or listening to calming music. This can help you wind down and prepare for a more peaceful sleep. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The stressed-out student. A student who's stressed about an upcoming exam might have nightmares about failing or not being prepared. By recognizing the connection between their stress and their dreams, they can take steps to manage their anxiety and improve their sleep. The grieving widow. A widow who's grieving the loss of her husband might have dreams about him. These dreams can be a way for her to process her grief, reconnect with her husband, and find closure. The creative writer. A writer who's struggling with writer's block might have a bizarre dream that sparks a new idea for a story. By embracing the dream as a source of inspiration, they can overcome their creative block and produce a masterpiece. The bottom line: dreams are a mysterious and fascinating part of the human experience. While bad dreams can be unsettling, they don't have to control us. By understanding their meaning, reframing our perspective, and taking steps to improve our sleep, we can turn those nightmares into sources of insight, creativity, and even healing. As the poet Langston Hughes said, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly." Lesson 8. Don't make things harder than they need to be. Your life ain't a CrossFit workout. All right, folks, let's have a little heart-to-heart about overcomplicating things. We're not just talking about assembling IKEA furniture or deciphering your cable bill, although those can be real head-scratchers. We're talking about the tendency to make our lives more difficult than they need to be, to create problems where none exist, and to turn molehills into mountains. The drama llama. Within. We all have a little drama llama inside of us, that part of our personality that loves to catastrophize, overthink, and make things way more complicated than they need to be. It's the voice in our heads that says, "What if this goes wrong? What if that doesn't work out? What if I'm not good enough?" As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius put it, our life is what our thoughts make it. In other words, we create our own reality through our thoughts and beliefs. And if our thoughts are constantly focused on problems and difficulties, that's exactly what we'll find. The simplicity solution. The ancient Stoics had a simple solution for this. Don't make things harder than they need to be. They believed in focusing on what we can control, accepting what we can't, and living in accordance with nature. As Epictetus put it, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. So, how do we tame our inner drama llama and embrace a simpler, more peaceful way of life? 1. Identify the root cause. What's driving your tendency to overcomplicate things? Is it fear, insecurity, perfectionism, or a need for control? Once you identify the root cause, you can start to address it. 2. Challenge your assumptions. Are your thoughts and beliefs based on reality, or are they just stories you're telling yourself? Challenge your assumptions and look for evidence to support or refute them. 3. Focus on the present moment. When we're caught up in the past or worrying about the future, we tend to overcomplicate things. By focusing on the present moment, we can simplify our lives and find more peace and clarity. 4. Practice acceptance. Not everything needs to be perfect. Learn to accept imperfections, setbacks, and challenges as part of life. As the serenity prayer goes, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. 5. Seek simplicity. Look for ways to simplify your life, both physically and mentally. Declutter your home, streamline your schedule, and prioritize the things that truly matter to you. As the minimalist writer Francine J. put it, "My goal is no longer to get more done, but rather to have less to do." Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The overthinker. Instead of agonizing over every decision, the overthinker learns to trust their intuition, make a choice, and move on. The perfectionist. Instead of striving for perfection, the perfectionist learns to embrace imperfection and celebrate progress over perfection. The chronic worrier. Instead of worrying about things they can't control, the chronic worrier learns to focus on the present moment and take action on the things they can change. The bottom line: life is complicated enough. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. By identifying the root cause of your overcomplicating tendencies, challenging your assumptions, focusing on the present moment, practicing acceptance, and seeking simplicity, you can create a life that's more peaceful, joyful, and fulfilling. As the philosopher Lao Tzu said, simplicity, patience, compassion, these three are your greatest treasures. Lesson 9. The enemy of happiness. It's not what you think, and it's probably staring you in the face. All right, folks, let's have a real talk about happiness. Not the Instagram-filtered, living my best life kind of happiness, but the deep-down, soul-satisfying kind that makes life worth living. And while we're at it, let's talk about the enemy of happiness, the sneaky little saboteur that's lurking in the shadows, waiting to steal your joy. The happiness mirage. We all want to be happy, right? We chase after it like a mirage in the desert: the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect body, the perfect life. But the truth is, happiness isn't a destination, it's a state of mind. And the biggest obstacle to happiness isn't external circumstances, it's our own minds. As the philosopher Seneca put it, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. In other words, we create our own suffering through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our expectations. the happiness thief. So, what's the biggest thief of happiness? It's not failure, it's not rejection, it's not even tragedy. It's comparison. We compare ourselves to others, to our idealized versions of ourselves, to the highlight reels we see on social media. We focus on what we lack, what we haven't achieved, and what we're not good enough at. And in the process, we rob ourselves of the joy and contentment that's available to us right here, right now. As Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. The antidote to comparison. 1. Gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you lack, focus on what you have. Take time each day to appreciate the good things in your life. Your health, your family, your friends, your talents, your experiences. As the saying goes, what you appreciate, appreciates. 2. Mindfulness. Be present in the moment. Pay attention to your senses, your surroundings, and your inner experience. When you're fully present, you're less likely to get caught up in the comparison trap. 3. Self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Don't beat yourself up for your mistakes or shortcomings. Remember, you're human, and everyone makes mistakes. As the Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. 4. Focus on your own journey. Everyone's path is different. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Focus on your own journey, your own goals, and your own growth. As the saying goes, the only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The social media scroller. Instead of scrolling through Instagram and feeling envious of other people's seemingly perfect lives, take a break from social media and focus on your own life. What are you grateful for? What are you proud of? What are you working towards? The career climber. Instead of constantly comparing yourself to your colleagues and feeling like you're not advancing fast enough, focus on your own career goals and what you need to do to achieve them. Celebrate your own successes, no matter how small they may seem. The perfectionist. Instead of beating yourself up for not being perfect, practice self-compassion. Accept your flaws and imperfections as part of what makes you human. Focus on your strengths and your progress, not your shortcomings. The bottom line. Comparison is the thief of joy. It robs us of our happiness, our peace of mind, and our sense of self-worth. By practicing gratitude, mindfulness, self-compassion, and focusing on our own journey, we can break free from the comparison trap and cultivate a more joyful, fulfilling life. As the philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson put it, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Lesson 10. Prepare for the storm, your philosophical weatherproofing for life's hurricanes. All right, folks, let's talk about storms, not the kind that bring thunder and lightning, although those can be pretty gnarly. We're talking about the metaphorical storms of life, the setbacks, the challenges, the unexpected curveballs that can knock us off our feet and leave us feeling lost and disoriented. The illusion of calm seas. We all want smooth sailing, right? We want a life that's free of conflict, pain, and uncertainty. But the truth is, life is more like a turbulent ocean than a placid lake. There will always be storms, both big and small, and if we're not prepared, those storms can capsize our ships and leave us adrift. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca put it, fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. In other words, We can either choose to embrace the challenges that life throws our way, or resist them and suffer the consequences. The Stoic Survival Kit. The ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus were masters at weathering life's storms. They developed a philosophy that emphasized preparation, resilience, and acceptance. They understood that we can't control the weather, but we can control how we prepare for it and how we respond to it. So, how do we weatherproof our lives and prepare for the inevitable storms that come our way? 1. Build a strong foundation. A strong foundation is built on values, principles, and a sense of purpose. When you know what you stand for and what's important to you, you're less likely to be swayed by the winds of change. As the philosopher Immanuel Kant put it, act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. 2. Develop resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks and challenges. It's about learning from our mistakes, adapting to new circumstances, and finding strength in adversity. As the saying goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. 3. Practice. Acceptance. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond. By accepting the things we can't change, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and open ourselves up to new possibilities. As the Serenity Prayer goes, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. 4. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to negativity. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our attention away from what we lack and towards the abundance that already exists in our lives. As the saying goes, what you appreciate, appreciates. 5. Seek support. We don't have to weather the storms alone. Reach out to friends, family, mentors, or therapists for support. Talking to someone you trust can help you process your emotions, gain perspective, and find solutions to your problems. Real-world examples. Let's explore how this concept is applied in daily life. The laid-off worker. Instead of panicking, the laid-off worker updates their resume, networks with contacts, and starts exploring new job opportunities. They see this setback as a chance to pivot their career and pursue their passions. The grieving parent. After the loss of a child, the grieving parent seeks support from a therapist, joins a support group, and finds solace in their faith or spirituality. They learn to live with their grief and find meaning in their child's memory. The natural disaster. Survivor. After a natural disaster destroys their home, the survivor doesn't give up hope. They rebuild their lives, their communities, and their spirits. They find strength in their resilience and their ability to adapt to new circumstances. The bottom line. Life is full of storms. But with the right preparation, mindset, and support, we can weather any storm that comes our way. By building a strong foundation, developing resilience, practicing acceptance, cultivating gratitude, and seeking support, we can emerge from the storms stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. As the philosopher Nietzsche said, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. So next time you feel that anger bubbling up, remember, it's not strength, it's weakness, it's bad fuel, and it's gonna wreck your engine. But you've got the tools to cool down, address the root issues, and find your peace. Now, I'm curious, what's your go-to anger management technique? Share it in the comments, and let's help each other out. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let's keep this conversation going. Remember, a calm mind is a powerful mind.